wreath-laying ceremony this fine afternoon. Joe here is going to be conducting most of it, and I'm mainly going to be your assistant. But we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance here to the American flag. So if you like, you're welcome to join in.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And just for a little bit of background on why we do wreath-laying ceremonies and the tomb itself. This tomb was built in 1831 at the request of Washington's will. The old tomb is a little bit further up the hill, but it's not built in a great location and was starting to get overcrowded. Washington foresaw this and asked for this structure to be constructed. And this is a much more permanent location, and it provides a place for people to come and pay their respects to the General and Mrs. Washington, who even in their own lifetimes were extremely well known for their leadership abilities. And for George Washington, he had a very fruitful military career, starting with the French and Indian War, learning from his mistakes from that, and becoming a very capable commander-in-chief for our American Revolution. And for him, after that revolution, we become the United States of America, and he is voted to be our president. And he is unanimously voted in, not just once, but twice. But he is able to run for a third term at this point, but makes the decision not to, retires and becomes a private citizen once again. And he's very aware of this transfer. He wants John Adams to be referred to as President Adams, and he is now General George Washington. That's no longer his title. And here at the tomb, we still have General George Washington. He's very aware of that presence that he has, and because of his leadership in these early formative years, we've had a great amount of time to grow and change and look to his precedent to make sure that we're doing the correct thing nowadays. So for these wreath layings, we just kind of take a moment out of our day to take a moment and remember what General Washington has done and where we are at now in this country. And for the wreath itself, we use a boxwood wreath. It's a traditional mourning plant of the 18th century, and we still use boxwood that is descended from the boxwood here during General Washington's time. So if you like, you can go ahead and lay the wreath, and I'll hold on to the clipboard for you while I do that. And then for General Washington, when he is president, we are more of the states of America. We have a lot of struggle with our national unity, and he writes a letter to the 13 governors of these new states with some advice and some guidance on how to become truly a United States of America. And these are the words that he wrote to those 13 governors.
I now make it my earnest prayer that God would have you in the state over which you preside, in his holy protection, that he would incline in the hearts of the citizens to cultivate a spirit of subordination and obedience to government, to entertain a brotherly affection and love for one another, for their fellow citizens of the United States at large, and particularly for the brethren who have served in the field, and finally, that he would most graciously be pleased to dispose us all, to do justice, to love mercy, and to demean ourselves with the charity, humility, and pacific temper of mind, which were the characteristics of the divine author of our blessed religion, and without any humble imitation of whose example in these things, we can never hope to be a happy nation.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joe, for helping me with this wreath-laying ceremony and for taking the initiative to have a wreath-laying ceremony. And thank you to everyone who listened in. We do greatly appreciate you visiting and taking the time out of your day to visit the General and Mrs. Washington here. Vanessa, do you have any questions before we conclude?
No, but I also wanted you guys to remember that we also mourn the lives of 3,000 people who died 20 years ago today on September 11, 2001.
Yep.
And that's the one reason why I wanted to lay the wreath today, is to commemorate that day as well. Let's never forget about those who died that day.
Yep. Very true. Thank you so much.